Welcome, subscribers. We have Jim Marrs with us, and we just concluded an interview on his latest book, The Terror Conspiracy, and a lot of things about 9/11 and so forth on the regular Redice Radio show. And now we're going to pass over the threshold, so to speak, and dive a bit deeper into the rabbit hole. And I want to talk a little bit about secret societies like, the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the Rosicrucians, and the OTO and things like that, and about the stuff that might connect the thing that Jim writes about in Rule by Secrecy with his book Alien Agenda. And Jim, to get things going, first off, do you yourself consider that there is a connection between these two kind of currents of information, so to speak?
Yes, there is. And I detail that in my book, Rule by Secrecy, which is available, by the way, in German and in Dutch, in Bulgarian. There's a Polish edition, and it's slowly but surely circulating around the world. And in there, my working hypothesis is the same thing you just asked. Is there a connection between these secret societies with each other and with a long-standing plan to take control of the world? And amazingly enough, yes, there is. And it goes back for centuries, actually. What we see is it's based on secret technological knowledge that was available in the earliest of the world's history. Up until the 19th century, most everybody believed, and there are still people who believe, that the world's first great civilization was the Egyptian civilization. And yet we find out that the Egyptian civilization did not evolve upward, it evolved downward. The earliest dynasties were much more technically proficient than the later dynasties. And so what we find is that was simply a continuation of an even older civilization, which was the Sumerian civilization. And the Sumerians apparently had built their civilization on the ruins of a even greater civilization, which, for want of a better term, we'll just call Atlantis. Okay? And this apparently that's another thing. There's been arguments for years over where this mythical continent of Atlantis might have been. Some people say it was centered on the island of Santorini in the Mediterranean. Others say it was Cyprus. Others say it was somewhere else. Some people say it was Antarctica before it got covered with ice. And some people, of course, say that it was a large continent in the Atlantic Ocean which sank under the waves of the ocean. I think the truth, what I'm beginning to find out, is that all of those are all connected. This was a worldwide civilization back in our prehistory, and we are only just now having the knowledge and sophistication to understand that that's what was going on. And, so we have to go back to our earliest antecedents to try to learn where we truly came from, so that we'll know where we're heading today.
Do you think that these guys, were behind stuff like the pyramids in Egypt, and what about those in South America? Do you think
right. In fact, you find that there are pyramids all over the world. You've just found a huge pyramid in Eastern Europe. There are pyramids in China. And again, these are evidences of this pre-diluvial giant great civilization.
Very interesting. And of course, there is in so many directions here to go, basically.
Right.
But one thing that kind of popped up in my mind, as you said here, regarding Sumeria and stuff like that, because of course I know that you have mentioned stuff like the more kind of occult, I guess, reason why the U.S. went into Iraq and to hitch up, I guess, some old technology that have been down there in Babylon, correct?
Exactly. I have in my files news clippings from the Associated Press, from the European press, that were showing in 1999, 2000, 2001 that French and German archaeological teams were making, quote, amazing new discoveries in Mesopotamia, which of course is today modern-day Iraq. Now, where would they be taking these artifacts and perhaps tablets and scrolls that would have some of this ancient knowledge on there? They would have taken it to the Iraqi National Museum in Baghdad. And, of course, when with the U.S. invasion of Iraq, we did not follow normal military strategy, which is to seize an objective, hold it, consolidate your winnings, and then move on to the next objective. We instead made a beeline for Baghdad, which is one of the reasons that we're still having so much problem over there today, because we failed to pacify the countryside. And what happened in Baghdad? The looting of the Iraqi National Museum. And there was a crowd of looters probably hired as cover, but it's also obvious to me and many others that this was an organized looting. This was an organized operation. And they went in there. They had keys to some of the vaults. Some of the guards were suspiciously missing. They found a pair of glass cutters in there that are not commercially available in Iraq. And, of course, thousands and thousands of pieces were taken, many of which have now been found and returned. But the key to it is, in the words of Colonel Matthew Bagdanos, who investigated the Iraqi National Museum looting for General Tommy Franks, he said the inside job, and that's what he called it, was in the basement, okay, and that they took tens of thousands of items out of the basement, and only a few hundred have been recovered. And, of course, the basement is where they would have taken the new discoveries. So someone apparently knew or feared that they had gained some of this knowledge over this ancient technology, and they wanted it for themselves, and so we invaded this country and we looted their museum to get hold of the artifacts and of the tablets and scrolls that might contain such knowledge.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about stuff like ancient technology connecting with, I guess, what I would refer to more like the modern technology, such as quote Stargate technology. I mean there are a lot of things connecting with this, because I know that I think it is in 2007 they're gonna start up a new particle collider. I think it's around the CERN area in France, or if it's on the border to Switzerland. And I mean,
and these superconductors are the key. This technology that we're talking about is not necessarily mechanical technology. It's manipulation of energy at the atomic and subatomic level, which is basically the keys to unlocking the secrets of the universe. Because if you can manipulate energy, then it's been shown that, or certainly theorized, that you can negate gravity. Well, if you negate gravity, then you can also begin to negate time. You might recall in the UFO literature about when a UFO comes over, the car engines stop. Well, if you'll look at that closely, though, when the UFO moves off, the engines start up again, but the starters don't come on. It's not like when you start your car and it goes run, 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 boom, and it starts up. They just suddenly start working again, which means that when the UFO came over, it placed an energy field over that area, which apparently freezes time, and the pistons, the internal pistons of an engine just stop. Okay, and then when the field moves off, then they continue to go again. So, and once you understand that it's possible to manipulate gravity, then you can also manipulate time. Now you're talking about the possibility of time travel, and perhaps even interdimensional travel. We all know, because it was reported in the mainstream media, that Saddam Hussein considered himself the reincarnation of King Nebuchadnezzar of ancient Babylon. Okay? So that would, we need to go back to the Bible and look at the story of King Nebuchadnezzar, who built an edifice that has been translated as a fiery furnace, but apparently that's not a very good translation. But it was a structure made of gold, and somehow it created an energy field. Okay, and every time his people went in there to try to see if they could manipulate it, they died. So this prompted King Nebuchadnezzar to go